Okay. I guess let's start with your name.
Regina Kelly.
And you are from?
I'm from Hearne, Texas.
Okay. Can you speak up just a little bit for me?
I'm from Hearne, Texas.
Okay. Now tell me about the day you were arrested. Let's start there.
It was on a Thursday evening. I was working a double shift at my job in the mall, and I was getting ready for my second shift to start, and the police came in and said that they were looking for Regina Kelly. And immediately I thought it was for traffic tickets because I knew I had traffic tickets. So I was like, okay, that's me. So they took me into custody, but they kept telling me it wasn't for tickets, but they wouldn't tell me what it was for. So I spent 2 nights in jail, and the next morning I was able to go before the judge, and the judge told me, what I was, being locked up for. And he told me it's for delivery of controlled substance, and my bond was $70,000. So I mean, it was crazy. Immediately I, lost my mind. Just started pleading with him, telling him, look, I don't do stuff like that. That's not me. You got the wrong person. And he was like, I don't have anything to do with your case. He said, I'm just reading what I have before me. So I went to court. I got a court-appointed lawyer who was not educated in the system at all whatsoever, who encouraged me to take 10 years probation by me not having a criminal background history. He felt like I do good on probation, and if the DA might let me off early since, I never get in trouble or anything like that. So I told him no, I wasn't going to plea out to something I didn't do. And so he went back to the DA and came back with 5 years probation, and I told him the same thing. And so I asked him to get the evidence that they used to indict me on. So a couple of days later, they delivered the evidence, and it was a tape that had 2 men conversating on it and not even a female voice. But that's what the grand jury used to indict me on, as far as the drug case. I spent 3.5 weeks in jail. My bond was reduced to $10,000, where my parents were able to come up with the money and get me out. After that, I never had to go to court again. It's like I never heard from them anymore. One of the other plaintiffs in the case got to go to court, and that's when everything came out about the informant who lied on everybody's issues. He lied on everything, in order to save himself. The DA had threatened him and his family beat him, night after night while he was in jail. He was mentally, disturbed. He was a drug abuser and user, and dealer.
Tell me, expand a little bit about basically what happened in Hearne generally. How many people were arrested? How many were African American? How many were, cleared of all charges?
In all, there were 27 African Americans arrested out of the whole drug bust. The DA claims there was one white person, but that person was never seen, noticed, or heard of throughout the civil suit. So I think that was pretty much fabricated. This was pretty much an ordeal that they do every year. The DA rounds up a lot of people, to meet his quota to keep his grant money coming in for the task force or whatever.
That's federal grant money.
Yes. And so whether you're innocent or not, the numbers look good on paper, and that was something that he needed. I think it was like 8 people who pleaded guilty to this, thinking they were going to come home, just to get out of jail. Some went to prison. Some did get to come out, Some were already on probation for other things, so it provoked their probation. They ended up going to prison regardless, And the rest of us, we just waited it out. Some people stayed in jail for like up to 6 months due to this, just waiting it out to see what was gonna, happen.
How many people were eventually cleared?
Eventually, I think it was like 17 people cleared.
And all those people had to do some time in jail?
Yeah, we all did jail time, everyone.
So your record has been completely cleared?
I wouldn't say completely. Mm-hmm. The arrest itself is still on there, which I feel like that's not fair, because it was to me, for someone who's never been in trouble, especially to this extent, and then to come out where I was cleared of everything, and they know that it was a mistake, I feel like I shouldn't have to deal with that for the rest of my life, as far as this being on my record, because that doesn't look good. Regardless if you're guilty, if you were convicted on it or not, just the arrest itself on your record. When you go and try to get your job or anything, that's there and that's noticeable, and people, they look at that and they judge you by that, regardless to anything, just the arrest itself.
How did it come out that the informant had lied about all of you?
Well, the first case was when one of the plaintiffs, Corbian Workman, his case went to trial first, and he was supposed to have been selling drugs to the informant, but actually at the time he was at the hospital with his girlfriend. She was delivering a baby their daughter at the time, so he couldn't have been doing the things that he was doing. So that's when they figured out he was lying about the whole thing. But when the ACLU stepped in, as far as with the civil suits, that's when they dug into a lot of things and found out a lot of stuff that was going on.
So did the informant know all of you, or how did they get your...
because it's a small town. Hearne is population a little bit over 5,000, and we all grew up together, and we all know each other, regardless to anything. And it's a small town. And the informant himself, he was already in trouble for a robbery case, so he was already in jail for that, But the DA took upon himself to, abuse him physically and mentally, to try to pressure him in to go back out on the streets and meet his quota for him, and telling him in return, he would do away with his robbery case, which it never happened regardless, because right now he's in prison for that same robbery case.
You said this happened every year in Hearne. Was it mostly African Americans who were rounded up?
Yes, always African Americans, always.
And since this case broke, these roundups haven't been happening anymore?
No, we haven't had any more. We haven't had any more.
Is there still drug policing in Hearne?
Yes, I think so. But at the same time, we just haven't had to worry about these big roundups anymore. I'm not going to say that's good, because we do have drug problems in our town, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And pretty much we all know that, they were doing, the roundups illegally, all these years. And they're just scared to try to do another one, because they feel like now they know someone of a higher power is looking in on them and paying attention to what they're doing.
You said that a lot of the roundups involve SWAT raids, breaking into people's homes?
Yes.
But
yes. They come in on helicopters, military style, SWAT style. And in the apartments that I was living in at the time, it's the projects where there's a lot of children outside playing, and everything, and they don't care. They throw kids on the ground, put guns to their heads, kicking in doors. They don't care. And it's not that, the problems that we have is not to that extreme where they have to come in like that.
You said you've met with the informant who wrongly gave your name, and that you've basically forgiven him. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. At first I was very mad at him, because I just could not understand why would he do something like this to me, because at the time he was dating my cousin. I didn't really like him, but at the time I didn't have anything against him, in that way. I didn't understand how could he take me from my children and just turn my world upside down like that. It really bothered me as a person. But once when the case got to progressing and I got to understanding, what was going on, and I really completely understand where he was coming from. He felt like he was gonna lose his life, and it's not like he went to the DA and said, look, I'll snitch for you if you, give me a lower sentence on, my robbery case. He was already in jail, about to do his time for, his robbery case. The DA came to him. So it's like he was forced to do it. It was either his life or his family's life gone, or he was going to go out there and do what they wanted him to do in order for him to keep going on.
And they were beating him also.
Yes, they were beating him. He said that he would get police officers in his cell at night that would come in, and just all of them would take turns just beating him, with guns, without guns, or whatever, just, abuse physically all night.
What's the status of the civil suit?
We're finished. Yeah, we're finished. We finished last year, and it turned out very well. It turned out real good.
Good.
But we need organizing in our town. You know, the ACLU came in, they did their job to the fullest, but at the same time, we still have some of those same problems that's still there. That as far as our community, we need to come together and try to work on, to get things right.
Okay. Thank you.